Hi, my name is Grace Solomon. The topic for my Unit 16 assignment is human immunity. Section 1. Non-specific defense against disease. First and second line of defense. When a microbe, often referred to as a pathogen, enters the body and it damages it. Infection results. Various organisms are responsible for causing infection as well as bacteria, viruses, a parasite, and fungi. Bacteria. These tiny single-celled microorganisms are produced when there is excessive burden of potentially harmful bacteria on or within the body. Viruses are tiny organisms that can only exist inside of a living cell. A parasite is a living entity that feeds on or even inside its host and does so at the expense of or in addition to the host. Fungi. This is a type of aerotic organism such as animal and plants, is referred to as a fungus and is a member of the kingdom Fungi. Transmission procedures. Transmission procedure, we have two types, which is direct contact and indirect contact. Direct contact occurs when an infected person makes direct touch with another infected person. Direct contact includes things like kissing, touching, engaging in sexual activities, and coming into contact with bodily tumors on the skin. Indirect contact occurs when there is no direct person-to-person contact, therefore occurs when a poo comes into contact with contaminated things, with pests like bed bugs, flies, mosquitoes, dogs, or rodents. The moment an infected person coughs or sneezes, contagious droplets are released into the air. Insect bites, especially those that suck blood, transmit a few extremely dangerous infection pathogens. Those insects include mosquitoes and bed bugs. Insects become infected by feeding on an infected host, such as birds, animal, or human. As a result, when an insect bites a new host, the disease is transmitted. Food contamination is simply defined as damaged food, such as raw food or unclean fruit and vegetables, that has become contaminated because of the existence of microorganisms such as bacteria, for instance. The three defense lines are: non-specific defense, act uniformly against all pathogens without making a distinction between different types of infections. Pathogen entry is restricted by physical and chemical controls in the first line of defense. In the second line of defense, non-specific reactions include flu, inflammatory response, complement protein, and cytokines. Barriers to infection, first line to defense. Composition of the skin. The integumentary system, which includes the skin, hair, and nails, is one of the three basic components. The epidermis is the skin outermost layer. Underneath the epidermis is the dermis. The subcutaneous layer shapes the inner segment. Second lines of defense. Infections and the significance of inflammatory response. Skin infection or damage frequency causes an inflammatory reactions. The inflammatory response is a set of cellular events that occurs as part of the immune system naturally responds to injury. The main physical impact of the inflammatory response is caused by excessive mobility all around the infection sites. Blood arteries distort specifically around inflammatory area, allowing more blood to flow to the region because of increased blood circulation. Inflammatory region of the blood stay warm. Section 2. Specific immunity. The third defense is acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is defined as immunity that develops as a result of exposure to a specific agent during the course of a disease or as a result of receiving antigen through vaccination. The acquired immune system. It has been established that acquired immunity does not exist at birth. The learning process starts whenever an individual immune system encounters invading force and accept foreign chemicals because it specifically targets on antigen that has already been encountered. Acquired immunity is sometimes referred to as a specific immunity. Its ability to learn, change, and recall information sets it apart from the other systems. White blood cells called lymphocytes are responsible for developing immunity. T cells, and also B cells. T cells may develop from stem cells in bone marrow that have gone to the thyroid gland, a chest organ. T cells, lymphocytes, are divided into three types, which are T cells that assist, T cells that are cytotoxic, T cells suppressors. B cells are made into the bone marrow and have receptors on the edge, which may allow antigen to link. Antibodies are unique proteins found in bodily fluids and the immune system that circulates within the bloodstream. Self-recognition and tolerance is the immune system ability to recognize self-produced antigen as non-threats while accurately reacting to external entities for healthy psychological process as well as overall welfare. There must be a balancing act between immunological defense and self-tolerance. Two specific immune system disorder. There are various kinds of autoimmune disorder. I'll focus on rheumatoid arthritis and type 1 diabetes. Rheumatoid arthritis is type of hypersensitivity that mostly affect the joint, making movement unpleasant as well as the joint swollen and heated. Rheumatoid arthritis can have periods of improvement followed by periods of deterioration. When it is worse, it is referred to as a flare-up. When it is better, it is referred to as remission. The fourth category of hypersensitivity includes type 1 diabetes, an autoimmune disorder that develops when the immune system draws the body insulin producing cell. Severe thirst, frequent urination, and excessive weight loss are some signs of type 1 diabetes. Sadly, there is an increased risk of developing further autoimmune disorder. When one is present, the cause of this is unclear. A blood test would be required to identify the antibodies that the patient's body is producing in order to make an autoimmune illness diagnosis. Since hair health disorder can affect different parts of the body, getting a blood test is significantly more beneficial than treating the symptoms. The focus is on managing and treating the symptoms of an autoimmune disorder in order to keep it under control, since there is no cure for it. As we all know that acquired immunity is something we may develop over time, but it can also be divided into passive and active immunity. Passive immunity is how the body has responded to infection that it has already encountered over the course of a lifetime. Passive immunity occurs when we obtain antibodies from somewhere else. What are the two ways we can get active immunity? It is natural and artificially. The self-reliant antibodies that human procedure in response to an illness or disease are referred to as Natural immunity. Artificial immunity occurs when we are exposed to a variety of illness as a result of vaccination in order to develop antibodies, while it takes some time for active immunity to develop. Once it does, it often lasts us our whole lives. There are two ways to gain passive immunity, which is natural and artificial. Antibodies that cross the placenta during pregnancy or through breast milk from a mother to a child after birth gives us natural passive immunity. When we take medication to rid our bodies of toxins, such as antitoxins, we may be creating artificial passive immunity. Passive immunity differs from active immunity in that the response usually happens right away, but usually does not endure very long. Causes of autoimmune disease. Many ideas suggest that an overactive immune system attacks the body following an infection or damage, yet researchers are unsure of what causes autoimmune disease. We are aware of number of risk factors that raise the likelihood of developing autoimmune illnesses, including genetic, multiple sclerosis, and lupus are two diseases that frequently run in families. Environmental factors, such as a virus that causes the disease if you carry the genes. Symptoms of autoimmune disease. The majority of autoimmune disease results in inflammation, which causes redness, heat, discomfort, and swelling. Various autoimmune diseases impact multiple bodily parts. Depending on the body parts involved, you may have one or more of the following system, which are joints, which can result in stiffness, discomfort, and functional loss. Thyroid, which could make you feel tired, put on weight, or have muscle pain. Skin, which can result in rashes, blister, and color change. Autoimmune disease treatment. Some autoimmune disease, after they have been recognized, might be challenging to treat. Before selecting the best treatment that works for you, you might need to try various things. Treatment can often lessen symptoms and help you better manage your condition, but it rarely has the ability to cure the disease. Depending on the kind and severity of your autoimmune disease, several treatments may be necessary. However, the majority of treatment fit into one of the following groups, which are not prescription treatment, medication on prescription, changes in way of life, alternative and complementary, medicine experiments with cures. The diagnosis of this disease can be assisted by blood tests that check of autoantibodies. Medication are used as treatment to reduce inflammation in the body and to calm the hyperactive immune response. Section 3, the vaccination of biology. The immune response to vaccination. Vaccination is a type of treatment that prepares the body immune system to fight a sickness that has never encountered before. Primary response occur after additional initial antigen exposure. The blood begins to produce specific antibodies only after an adaptation phase, which typically lasts a few days. Secondary response. The body produces a secondary response when a person repeatedly comes into touch with the antigen. It will be considerably stronger, develop more quickly, and require fever antigen to elicit the response. Immunology memory. Immunology memory is the immune system ability to respond more rapidly and effectively to previously encountered infection, which shows the existence of additional antigen specific cell in the body. Immunology memory and vaccines. Immune response are induced by vaccines, and as a result, the body develops an immunology memory that helps it defend against infection or disease. It has recently become possible to analyze the immune response in both human and experimental animals. which has improved our knowledge of the molecular mechanisms that control the differentiation and maintenance of memory T and B cells. The concept of herd immunity, vaccination program and vaccine related factors. Herd immunity is kind of immunity that develops whenever each percentage of a community or animal is immunized, offering some protection to those who have not yet developed immunity. Vaccination programs and factors that influence vaccine uptake. There are many factors that could influence whether or not people are willing to embrace a vaccine option for themselves and their children. The most important benefit of vaccination for people is protection from diseases and infection that could affect them and those close to them, as well as the knowledge that they have to safeguard. Because vaccination reduces diseases transmission, people may benefit from the opportunity to help and protect everyone else in their society. The benefit of vaccination. The many benefits that vaccination offers to people of all ages, aside from particularly susceptible groups like children, have led to their acceptance as standard medical practice around the world. Vaccination serves as a series for the body immune system, preparing a person for situations that, if not protected against, may in fact pose serious or even fatal illnesses. Thank you.